Ladies and gentlemen, Violent Games here. Today I'm going to be talking about something a little different than my usual spiel of, console guides. This is going to be a guide on handling toxic players in video games. Now, this is actually kind of a serious subject. I don't want to play it off so lightly, but I want to kind of just give you some general guidelines and tips on how to deal with these players, and maybe even go into some of my own personal experiences with toxic players, because I feel like it's important, because toxic players can ruin an experience for another player by being just straight up nasty. Because, that those other players who are at the receiving end of this toxic behavior can be really negatively affected by that. So I want to go into all of that, and hopefully you will be a little more secure when it comes to dealing with these types of people. So let's get started with the first subject, which is dealing with toxic players. I will also be covering how to control your own toxicity as well, considering we can all be toxic at times, and I don't think you're necessarily an evil person if you ever are toxic in a video game, ever. So, when dealing with toxic players, the first point I think that you need to understand is that toxic behavior is bullying. It is nothing short of that. It is nothing further than that. It's just bullying. It usually involves name calling. It's usually a direct kind of attack. Yeah, it's more of a cyberbully. It's not like someone's pushing you over in the sandbox, but the premise is still kind of the same. It is bullying, and I'm a firm believer in knowing your enemy in order to defeat them. So let's just keep it on the level at the most basic plane that toxic behavior is bullying. Being mean to anyone in any scenario is bullying, regardless if it's anonymous or not. And understand, point number 2, that you are not alone when it comes to receiving toxic messages or being bullied on the internet. I have been bullied multiple times throughout my PlayStation career, if you could call it that, where people will send me private messages, people will say nasty shit over the headset, calling me a camper, calling me a faggot, saying weird things about my mom. It's just oddball shit, really. And what happened to me recently, and let's get into this and why it's kind of an Overwatch-oriented thing, I was playing Widowmaker, and some people sent me messages basically saying that I suck and shouldn't play Widowmaker, and I wasn't helping at all in the fights, blah, 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 blah. And the fact of the matter is, they were actually wrong. Just because I'm backlining and they don't see what I'm directly doing to help them in a fight does not mean I am not helping in the fight. But a lot of people kind of make this little conception that all snipers are useless in Overwatch except for Hanzo on the console, so, it happens. But when I was sent these messages, they were very, very, rude and very, very bumptious with their claims, and I kind of just, went back and said some stuff to them that some of it was right and some of it wasn't. Basically, I made them aware that they were bullying. I think that's important. And then I said something along the lines of, people like you ruin these types of communities, which they do. But I'll cover that a bit more as we go on. So just remember that you are not alone in this. It happens to all of us. You can tell your stories in the comments, and we will listen to you. Just don't post any, online names or anything. I don't want anyone to get harassed out of this. So, point number 3. Understand that you matter, not just as an Overwatch player, but as a person in real life. Because when you get these types of messages, it can be very off-putting, and it can actually, make you, depressed or feel shitty about yourself. And it does happen. I remember when I was playing Bloodborne, I got, destroyed by some dude online, and he sent me a bunch of messages telling me to kill myself, telling me to fucking stop playing this game, even though that he invaded my world without me really knowing. And it actually turns out that Bloodborne has a thing where you have gems that can make your weapons super overpowered, and he had those gems and I didn't. I didn't know that at the time, so I guess I was a noob in that prospect. But hey, that's just my example, and it was very off-putting. I've even been bullied in threads and shit where my brother was present, where I went into a chat party with his friends, and they just started making fun of me because I disagreed with how much I liked Fallout 4. That type of shit, dude, it's just really derailing. So understand that you are not alone, guys. That this happens to me too, and I'm sure it happens to adults and teenagers alike. So, by all means, you are not alone. This is not an uncommon thing. And understand that you matter, because the bottom line is, in Overwatch especially, you've made a game a good game at some point. Like, you've teamed up with someone, you've healed someone at some point, and they've been like, oh, thanks, man, I needed that help. Because Overwatch is a very team-oriented game, and all players of all skill cap matter to me. Whether you're a casual, whether you're MLG, whether it doesn't matter what like sub community you're in, I feel like that it's important that you know you matter, so that when people send these types of messages, you can just keep that in mind, so you don't let that destroy yourself, because only you can let these comments get to you, and understanding your own self-worth is very, very useful. I almost like derailed back in the second point, I'm sorry about that, but hey, this is a free-form video. I just wanted to post this because I thought it was important. Okay, now I'm going to go into the next few points are going to, or hold on. The next few points are going to deal with how to deal with these players specifically, like the actions you need to take when this happens. There are two approaches you can take, and both of them are fine, and I will not condemn you for using either. The first being, point number 4, is block these players. Don't even respond to them if it bothers you too much, because your responses will usually be like a bunch of like insults and shit that might not sound good later when you read them like the next day. So blocking these players is a great way to just get them out of your hair. It's no longer your problem. You're not ever going to have to deal with these people again, because the fact of the matter is there aren't a lot of toxic players out there. There is like a lot less frequent occurrences, I would say, of people being harassed or being douchebags on console Overwatch, for sure. So block them, block them, block them. Now the second way to deal with these people, and the fifth point of this section of the guide, is tell this person that their behavior is unacceptable, that it is bullying. Like when you can message them back. I'm not saying don't do that. You should definitely call these players out if you're that type of person. I know I am. And if I see toxic behavior, I will, like, a lot of times go out of my way to send these people messages being like, hey, what you're doing is disgusting. It's bullying. It's harassment. You have no idea who I am. Why are you sending me PMs telling me that I suck, knowing jack shit about me? That's really unfair, and it's extremely rude. And players like you, again, ruin communities. Like, if you like Overwatch and you respect the game and you think it's so important that I'm so good at the game, then why are you an asshole? Why are you slandering Overwatch by sending me PMs, like insulting me, when you have no idea? Like, I could be like drinking, or I could be going through depression, I could have an abusive relationship, and you're just like adding icing on top of that inadvertently just because you wanted to say I suck at Overwatch because you had a bad round. I'm sorry, Pookie, that's not the way the world works. So tell these give these people their response, tell them what they did was wrong, and honestly, I advise right after you say all you want to say, go ahead and block them, because 9 times out of 10 the responses you get from these type of people are toxic and stupid. They'll just be random insults saying, oh, you're a scrub, that's why you're sending this message, or too long didn't read. So most of the time it's not even worth hearing their response after that. But in other occurrences, I've done this, and people have straight up apologized. So you can't always say that these people are just always malicious dicks. So make sure that... Oh, and this feeds into my 6th point, my 6th and final point on dealing with these types of people. Remember that the person on the other end is human. Don't completely dehumanize someone just because they sent you a toxic message. Understand that they're a person just like you or me, and that where they're coming from isn't the place that they probably want to be coming from. Like the example I just gave you, a lot of the time when I make people aware of the fact that they're being bullies, they actually apologize because they can't argue against that point. And if you're civil with them, and to be honest, I'm not always civil, that I definitely make some errors there as well, you can actually resolve this in a peaceful way and prevent them from doing these things to other people. So by all means, going back to point number 5, call them out on that shit. Like, don't let it just slide if you are the type of person who thinks that they can engage with these people in a meaningful way. But if not, if you're too salty or whatever, just go ahead and block them. That works too. So let's move on to controlling your own toxic behavior. And I want to start the first point by saying that it's okay to be salty, guys. Look, I get salty constantly. I'm sure you'll even hear me in my guides being salty about Hanzo in particular and how I think he's spammy, I think he's cheap and shit. But I don't think being salty is a problem unless you make it somebody else's problem. This feeds into point number 2. Isolate your rage in a safe environment, not in the public view. If you want to like bitch and complain about a character or whatever, do it with your friends in a private chat. Do it like with your mic muted or something. Be like, fuck this fucking player. And sometimes it will be a player's fault, but still, you shouldn't like send them a private message saying, oh, you suck at life, stop playing this fucking game. Like, who are you to say for someone to stop playing a fucking video game, and what rights they have and what rights they don't have as a gamer? That is obnoxious to assert that anyone should stop playing a game ever for any reason. Like I said, I'm a part of the belief that every person of every skill cap should be able to play Overwatch, and that variety is what makes the game something special. If everyone was the same type of player, this game would be boring as fuck. It would just be complicated team comp versus complicated team comp, and then just a bunch of like different skirmishes. No one would ever win or lose based on like, you know, a skill cap or a skill gap. So why would you want a community that isn't diverse? I have no idea what these fucking toxic players are saying, but I'm gonna try not to digress too far. But yes, like, isolate your rage, keep it in a safe environment, and don't send PMs, don't message these people, don't insult them on open mic, because you don't know who these people are. Oh, by the way, that's my third point. Understand that you don't know the other person who you are mad at. You don't know what they're going through in life. You don't know exactly what their situation is either. Like, this could be like an instance where, like, say, like, I let like a kid or something play my profile for a while I did something else, or a parent let their child play this game, and then they suck really bad, and then all of a sudden their first experience of Overwatch is some fucking asshole fucking sending them a message. Like, that's terrible. That it completely misrepresents what I think Overwatch is about, and I think Overwatch is about having fun. Like, competitive or non-competitive, it's about having fun. And when you act that way, you take that fun from someone else. It's no different than taking a child's toy on the playground and telling them that this is stupid and you're not doing it right or some shit. It's just gross, guys. It really is. So that's point number 3 on controlling your toxic behavior. Understand that you do not know the other person you are mad at. And I'll even go further by saying, even if it is their fault, don't say anything. Because, like, what are you gaining from that, you know? You are the one who fucking chose to be in a pub. Just saying. Which kind of feeds into my next and final point for controlling your own toxic behavior. Don't expect to win all the time, especially in pubs, guys. If you expect to win all the time in Overwatch, you know how irrational that is? Like, I've said multiple times to my own friends that Overwatch, when you go into competitive or quick play, it's like flipping a coin when you're solo queuing. You're just going to get some bad matchups or some bad teams, or you're going to get a team that absolutely is just better than your team. And because Overwatch is like a completely team-oriented game, if one team's better than the other as a whole, not like player by player, because like I could be the best player out of all the players that are currently in the match, but that's not going to mean dick, because if the average skill cap of the enemy team is just better, I'm going to lose. There's no reason to get upset over losing in this game if you know that the enemy team's just better. Like, if they land their shots more, if they're getting more crits, you can't really be salty. And also, it's your own fault for deciding to play in a public queue. Because, like, these guys, they messaged me about, like, playing Widowmaker in the backlines. What did they expect? Honestly, what did they fucking expect? You're playing in a public lobby. You're going to get some bad apples. And who are you to fucking say that you can't be, like, you have to be this good at the game? It's fucking silly. You are the one who chose to go play in pubs. Do you expect everyone in public games to be fucking MLG Master Pros? No! Like, what the fuck did you expect? It's your own damn fault. You chose public game. If you want to be MLG Master Pro, go get a community together who wants to be all about that. Don't get on public games and be like, oh, you fucking suck. Well, yeah, because we're in pubs, and I'll play however the fuck I want, and I'm not communicating with my team. You know, if I was trying to win a tournament or something, then I would be like communicating with my team 24/7, really focusing on the gameplay and not just like kicking my feet up and playing me a game of Overwatch for fun. You know? So don't expect to win all the time, guys. It really is like flipping a coin every time you click solo queue, because you don't know what team you're gonna get. You could get the best fucking team in the world and then you get your ass carried. That happened to me like a couple days ago. I was like, wow, I've never been carried so hard. Or you could get like these teams who can't fucking aim at all, like they've never picked up a controller. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, you can get salty, yeah, you can get rage, but don't send them PMs because you don't know who the fuck they are and you know nothing about their business. Alright guys, that's all my points on controlling toxic behavior and dealing with toxic behavior. Let me know if I let anything out and what your beliefs are. Do you think that it's okay to respond to these types of players, or do you think it's better to just ignore them? You know, I'm kind of the mindset that you should respond to them and call it out, because I think it's a problem and you should make the person aware, even if they are just going to be dicks about it. At least give them something to think about, you know. As long as it's within good taste, of course, because if you just reply with nothing but toxic words like, oh, you're a dick and an asshole and I hope you die, you know, that's not going to help. That's just going to, you know, worsen the problem. Those are my beliefs on it anyway. So let me know what your beliefs are on that. Also, let me know if you've ever dealt with toxic behavior in any game. It doesn't have to be Overwatch. It could be any other game. I mentioned Bloodborne. I noticed that the Dark Souls Bloodborne community is just toxic in general. It's like a very commonplace thing. And also, guys, I wanted to end on the note that I have not really, like, hold on, how do I say this? You guys are fucking awesome. Throughout my entire comment section, I have not received one comment that I felt like wasn't, like, either valid criticism or a compliment in general. Like, everything that you guys have been posting in the comments, as far as suggestions, as far as what you want to see next, as far as ways to improve on my content, have all been constructive and useful, and I'm very appreciative of that. You guys are a great community, and I don't ever want you to be derailed by fucking toxic players. That's why I really wanted to throw this out there, and I also wanted to just kind of make the Overwatch community a more acceptable place. Like, if like a few people watch this video and they're like, oh, okay, this is how I deal with this type of player, we can help fix the problem. So, guys, that's all I really had to say. I hope you're enjoying whatever gameplay I decided to post with this. I am pre-recording the audio. But yeah, leave a comment. I highly encourage you to do so. And if you do tell stories of, you know, toxic players, leave names out of it. I want to make sure that that is a focus. Leave names out of it. I don't want anyone to get fucking spammed because someone decided to post someone's gamer tag in my comments, and then they trace it to this video somehow, and they're like, what the fuck, man? You sent these vultures? No. I don't want that. I don't want my community to be like fucking drones just attacking people. But I do want people to be actively engaging in getting rid of this type of behavior, because it can ruin the experience for some people. And let's be honest, you know, in 2016 and, you know, years prior, public schools are not the same as they were back like in the 1900s and stuff, where bullying was more prominent. Like, we live in an age where bullying is not that prominent, and I feel like there's going to be a lot more people who are more susceptible to being offended by this type of behavior online, because, you know, they've never dealt with bullying, period. While that's a great thing, I feel like we still need to prepare ourselves, so this is just kind of my 2 cents into the perspective when it comes to dealing with, you know, bullies and toxic players. Let me know if this has helped you at all. Let me know if you, again, if you've ever ran into this type of behavior. I'm very curious, is why I keep asking over and over again. I'm starting to ramble on, guys, so I'm going to end it here. Peace out, and don't be a dick.
Reinhardt and Zarya make a good combo.
Yeah.